Hello guys, and welcome back to Route 180 with your host, Alondra Herena, where I will share diverse topics that will transform our life. In this new episode, I would like to share with you different fruits that I have been seeing in my life from having a relationship with God. And I also want to share an experience I had earlier this year. Now buckle up and let's go together on this route of transformation. I'm pretty sure that at one point in your life, you have carried a newborn or you have been watching a kid of 1 or 2 years old and they got hurt or they are hungry and they just start crying and screaming and you don't find any way to calm them down. But when you give them to their parents, they are able to calm the kid down. And I was reflecting on that example of an experience that I had earlier this year. And I was thinking about when the kid feels that their parents are in control and that their parents are around them, surrounding them, they feel protected. They feel in a safe place. That's why they calm down, because they know their parents are in control. And while I was reflecting on that, it come to mind a experience that I had earlier this year that I want to share with you today. This experience took place at my job. I remember I was in a meeting, and just to let you know, this was a recurring meeting. Nothing changed, nothing stressful. Everything was good on the meeting. But at some point, from nowhere, I start receiving thoughts that I was not enough, that I was not good enough, that I was never gonna be able to become the professional I dreamed about. And all those thoughts came to my mind, and I came very stressed and anxious by them. So obviously I was containing my sadness, and once the meeting was over, I remember I went back to my desk, put my laptop, and I was like, if I tried to calm myself here, I just wanted to cry. I felt it in my heart that I needed and I wanted to cry. So I was like, I'm gonna break down here on my desk. People are gonna notice and they're gonna ask me what's happening? What's wrong? What happened to you? And I didn't have an answer for them because I didn't know why those thoughts came to me, because everything was good. So I remember I asked one of the managers if I could go, outside, because behind our work office, they have a lake and people normally go and walk around and it's very peaceful. So I just needed to breathe air and I needed to cry a little bit. So I remember I went outside and I started crying, and I was talking to the Lord, I am sad, I don't know what's going on. And just to let you know, I have battled with mental health and depression a long time. But this year specifically has been a year of a lot of victory on that. I have been more in control of my emotions and those type of thoughts. So this is not the first time those thoughts come to mind and bother me. So I was just talking to the Lord because I was very frustrated, because it gets tired, and I was tired of being strong and battling with them. And yes, some days it's easier than others to battle them and get out of those thoughts, but sometimes they can get to me and I can be very sad, and I can start doubting and believing on those thoughts. So I remember I was walking around the lake and I was talking to the Lord that I was tired, that I was mad, why I get those thoughts come to me, from where they're coming. Everything was perfect. Nothing happened, to trigger those thoughts to come to me. So around the lake, there are probably 5 benches, but there's one specifically that has a tree beside it, and I love that specific bench. So I remember getting to that bench and I sit down and I start crying even harder. And it was a moment that even though I was crying, I felt safe. I felt like I got where God was and where He wanted to meet with me, to comfort me and to make me feel that I was in my safe place. And I remember the feeling. It was like I was in His lap and He was just comforting me, letting me know this is something that is gonna go away. I am with you. You're not by yourself. You don't have to battle by yourself. This is gonna go away. I'm in control. You are my daughter. I give you the identity, not those bad thoughts. And I remember I stayed a couple of minutes, but in the bench and crying, and I started calming down and I started receiving peace. And for me, it was a beautiful experience. It was very nice and very sweet to be there, feel that comfort that come from the Lord, that overpass our understanding, that overpass our circumstance. And I was able to calm down. I pray. I left everything in his hands, and I went back to my day. I work. I had a beautiful day. My day after that went like it never happened. So a couple days after, I remember asking the Lord, what I did different? What happened? Because like I told you before, I have battled with these thoughts for years since I was in middle school. And I was like, why this time specifically I was able to overcome those thoughts so easily and not stay on that mood of sadness, and even suicidal thoughts normally came to me because of those thoughts. What I did differently, because I was shocked that even though I knew he was comforting me, but I didn't realize why it took so little and in a short amount of time that I was able to overcome those thoughts. So I was asking the Lord, and I remember that he told me, it's because you went to me, because you came to me first. And I remember I was walking down the stairs of my work, and I stayed like in silence, and I was so shocked because it was not an answer that I expected, and I didn't realize that I went to him first. And that most shockingly is that before I thought I was going to the Lord, and apparently he was not that first person I went when I was struggling with those thoughts. And then I started, reflecting on it and what I had received. And I was like, that's right. Before, I normally went to my friends, to my family, and that is not bad. Yes, when I am having those bad thoughts, it's good that I, ask for support and prayers for my family and for my friends, and they are key on my progress and they are key on my life, and I appreciate them so much. That day I learned that the Lord is always there for me, and if I go to him first, he is the fountain of the one that I need. He has all the answers. He can comfort me like nobody else. He will really understand what I'm going through and the thoughts and the pressure I'm feeling in my head. And he's the one and only that can provide that peace that overpass my situation. And that day, when I was able to understand that, it blew my mind. I was like, Lord, you're so great. Your role as a father comes so naturally to him that he is always there for us. And I don't know, what situation you're going through, but if something you can get out of this episode is that the Lord is always there for you. He is not mad at you. He's not tired of you. He wants that you come to him first, and that you just surrender everything to him and you give him control of the situation. He wants to have control of that situation. And that's another fruit that I have seen in my life of constructing and of having a relationship with God, is that I got a stress of everything. Like anything can give me stress, and we can have control of a lot of things in our life. If it's financially or emotionally, a lot of things we can have control. And my first reaction of a difficult situation was, what can Alondra do? How in my power, in my authority, I can solve this problem. I can help this person. Instead of, let me go to God, let me surrender this situation to God and let God work. I was always like the assistance of God in my life. Like, don't worry, God, I got this. I'm gonna solve it for you. When instead, he was like, hey, I am the boss here. Let me control this. Let me work this for you so you can relax, have peace, and see me work through that. And it's very powerful when we surrender to God, and it's not something easy. Sometimes I still find myself trying to have control over a situation or over a family situation, and I have had to say, Lord, I'm sorry. I surrender this to you. I know you have in control. And let me tell you, he still surprised me because I see him in the work and I see how he gives me peace and comfort. And on days or on month or whatever time it takes him, because that's another thing. Sometimes we want to see God's miracles or God answering to our prayer like he is a fast food. God is not a fast food. Like, we are so used in our life to get things so fast, to get answers so fast that we feel like, oh God, you're not in control, or God, you're not working. And we can get anxious about it. But I have learned that even though it's difficult, the Lord is the Lord of everything. He is in control of everything. And everything has a perfect time. So I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that I don't get stressed anymore. I'm not saying that I have overcome all bad thoughts. I'm just saying that with the Lord it's easier when you can remind yourself, I have free access to the Lord, to the one who knows everything, to the one whom is my creator. Everything will start calming down. Everything will come bringing, he will be able to give you the peace and the wisdom that you need to overcome the situation, to wait on him. And you will see his miracle. You will see him providing to your life, to your family, and to any situation you are. So, as a reminder, if you can get anything out of this episode, just remember that if you are battling with depression, if you're battling with sin, if you're battling with financial situations, if you're battling something with your family at work, bring it to the Lord. Let the Lord have control of that situation. And know that you have free access to him, that you can come to him anywhere you are at any time, and he will be waiting for you, and you can surrender anything to him, and he will be in control. And that is all for this episode. I hope you like it and it's a blessing for your life. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok as Ruta 180. That is RUTA 180. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe, give us a thumb up, and leave a comment. See you next Tuesday.